Hi everyone, how's everything going? I hope it's all good with you on this wonderful Friday. So we're going to talk about the Shroud of Turin. I thought I might do just a bit of fun today. It's a really interesting fake. I'm absolutely positive it is a fake, and we're going to go through the just a few things and observations over the years that I've made, and also some of this research. It's actually 2 years old. There was a newish study done. I'm going to give a little information on that, and I think it's rather interesting. And yeah, we're just going to have a little fun today. So I'm just going to share my screen, um, and we're going to talk about very quickly this website. Sorry, it was and a back and forth between two people regarding the shroud. What I should first do actually is just talk about what I've noticed over the years, some things that have just popped up just through looking at this thing, and people who have noticed, and scientists and people who have conducted various studies on the shroud over the years, noticing that the proportions of the body are just out anyway. We have a small head on shoulders in on the front image that is just too kind of crouched down onto the head. Doesn't appear to have much of a neck. Then we have the head here, which is smaller than the body and anatomically a little just disproportionate from the rest of the body. We have arms and legs that appear to be elongated in a very strange way, and the body, the torso seems to be squashed a bit. I'm just going to reel off these things quite quickly. His hands there's what would it be? His left hand is on top of the right, and he appears to be kind of like holding it, clutching it. If you try this with your own body, and his arms appear to be just coming down by the side of his body here, you're going to find that most people are going to find that their arms does not come down to cover the man area. You try it yourself; it's quite interesting. So obviously, if you're a medieval forger, you probably want to cover the man regions of Jesus Christ. Would be the done thing. And if you're doing this and trying for yourself, and I'm a fairly big fella, right? But you're going to find that it doesn't cover the crotch. Um, Arms and body proportionately just don't really appear to do that. It's going to be slightly above. There's a 2 inch difference between the front and the back of the image as well, about 2.5. Hang on, sorry, yeah, 2 inches. I think that's right. Yeah, 2 inches between the front and the back of the image. There are various problems with the notion that Jesus's soul would have just gone straight upwards and left such a fairly neat image here, as well. It's quite interesting, strange, whatever else. And one of the big things, well, two big things people have noticed over time, is that the image of the guy here is it looks like an old man. This is not someone who's just hit 30 or is 32, 33. This is an old face. Looks like someone who's hit about 55, 60. It actually looks a lot like my father. He's just hitting 70. This is an old face, and the hair also appears to be going straight down with gravity. And we're going to just go on to show. Oops, it was going to be in a. Yeah, you see here the hair kind of flops downwards with gravity, and also if you think about things, if this is wrapped, and by the way, John describes the cloth, the linen wrap that was used to ritually do Jesus when he was dead. Sorry, you'll find he talks about a wrap, and this was the common way to respect the body in Israel, in Jerusalem, in Judea at the time. So you would have wrapped the body first of all. Secondly, this is very important. You're going to notice quite a lot of hair that is just flowing freely down his face, and an area in a distance here. think of this distance. This is almost as large as his nose. What do you do when you wrap a body up? The hair just goes splosh onto the face, does it not? This is quite a substantial amount of hair that's just draping downwards. And you'll see in the original as well, there's areas here. There are areas that are just kind of flowing downwards. I'm going to tell you what I think has happened here and how this thing was done in a moment. You'll see the same deal on this um, uh, larger depiction. Now we're going to go to this website here, and it's you. Hopefully, you can see that here. You just put this into Google. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. I might not put this in the show notes. I do apologize. Debunking the Shroud of Turin, unveiling the truth behind the scientific claims, and this is about this both the 2019 and the 2022 study. And some of the issues that this wide angle X-ray scattering dating has, some of the problems with the methodological flaws, and sample numbers. There are nine sample size with this study, with these two studies, and it was the second one in 2022 was it just used two extras, and one of them was the shroud itself. So it wasn't a particularly smart and methodologically advanced study upon the first one. There was a confirmation bias. This study relied on the temperature of the shroud being consistent through the centuries, 2,000 years. And we know that there was a 2016 fire. Hang on, wait a minute. A fire in the 1500s, 16th century that scorched the shroud, really damaged it. And you can see the damage on the shroud. There was a bleaching factor. I'm just going to skip through these. Feel free to read this thing yourselves. Misrepresentation of the statistics rendered here. And the broader implications of faith versus science come up as well. The conclusion, though, I'll read this quickly. The Shroud of Turin remains an enigma, and it's very true. Its mystery deepened rather than solved by recent scientific methods. Falk's rigorous critique underscores the importance of methodological accuracy and skepticism, while Bersey's defense highlights the enthusiasm and devotion the shroud inspires among believers. So what is worth doing, though, is going through this 45-minute video on the subject where Mr. Falk here, Dr. Falk, goes through the science properly. Now, I can't say I'm not a scientist. I can't really speak intelligently to this stuff, but I did watch this video, and it does quite strategically go through the claims made by Cameron Bertuzzi, and I think shows quite reasonably that the science delivered in these two studies was flawed and done by people who really wanted to prove the shroud was genuine. There have been studies done on the shroud through the decades, and 3 labs took the sample, as I'm sure you all know, from the side of the cloth, and they all came to the same conclusion, that it was a late medieval fake. We also have historical evidence that this was indeed the case as well. And again, just looking back at this, what I'm going to get into what I think this was done, but you'll see the problems here. This head smaller than the body, elongated arms. The notion that you can't do this with uncover your man areas. There's also the herringbone weave, which is quite complex, but a very medieval weave. It is true that you can find basic herringbone weaves in the 1st century, but they were rare at the time. Again, it comports with more a medieval weave. and that jives with the research that's been done. This guy, Shadow Shroud, and this is the fella here. This is a great little interview with a fella who appears to have been able to mimic what has gone on here. These are his versions of this, and he devised a quite a crude way, honestly. And this is good. Crude is good because remember, in medieval times, people weren't particularly advanced, but this ticks boxes. It shows you that down the bottom here. We'll leave this to people who want to have a further look. This gives you a 3D outline of his version of the shroud. This was painted onto glass, put in the sun. The sun goes over the glass with the with paint on it. So what happens is slowly the rest of the linen is bleached during the day, and this creates a 3D image of the picture. The imprint here of this face, and he came uh, through this with uh, a decent image of the shroud, and it shows you again how this is, if it's drawn on, then this is what you're going to get. The notion that hair is going to stick to the face when wrapped, and you have to wrap tightly. It's got to be skin tight, right, to wrap something, or it's just going to wiggle and fall off. This fulfills this kind of the bunch of criterion. It's obviously 3D. The elongation of the certain of the appendages, arms and stuff is then explained through this. The notion that this looks like, and this has been pointed out in various studies, it looks like a kind of rendition of something that the medieval painters would paint. It's quite classically a picture we understand to be looking like Jesus. Long hair wasn't a big thing in Judea at the time, really. It's a very the person was 6 foot, maybe 6'2" in stature. Again, Judea at this 2,000 years ago didn't really have tall people. Anyway, so worth checking out here. This guy, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten his name. Yeah, N.D. Wilson, I think. Did you know that N.D. Wilson found him? Yes, N.D. Wilson. Um, so this is quite interesting, and I've got books on. 1 second, I'll show you. I've read a couple of books on this, so I do know a little about this. The Second Messiah, and this is about the shroud. Oh, sorry. This is actually about the shroud, and also there's quite a cool book. 1 second. Oops. This one here, by Lynn Picknett and Clive Prince. I met these guys. Very cool. That states that maybe Leonardo da Vinci and the camera obscura was developed around the time of Leo. And the Salvador Mundi, one of his paintings, an important one, actually mirrors this face very well, and it was his face. But that's just a theory. I'm kind of more inclined to go with this guy's thesis for now. But yeah, I mean, the camera obscura, I mean, they take you through the potential that this could have been Leo, who knows? Anyway, I think I'm covering most of what I wanted to cover. But yeah, this girl as well, the Shroud of Turin is still fake. So she looks at the Heritage magazine where this was actually this study was originally printed. It's 2 years ago this actually came out, and it wasn't particularly well picked up, obviously. It had an impact rating, this Heritage magazine, of 1.7, whereas Nature, where some of the other studies on the shroud have been released, has a 50.5 impact rating. So 1.7 to 50.5. And I know this doesn't necessarily mean that their work was untrue, but it doesn't look good if you look at this fella's work here. And he goes through in 45 minutes why it's likely, here's the article again, why the science is just not credible. It's not good science. I know so many Christians who have been going through this saying, yes, this is it. This is the one. We've got it. But there are so many problems with the shroud. And there is even someone historically, and this will go through that. This um, YouTube video goes through some of the historical stuff, and I did put this into Chat GPT. I know I'm being lazy this morning, but there are a host of problems with, proportionality and so on, and these fires, and the notion that really to get this right, you would have had a consistent temperature on the shroud. It's very unlikely that that would have been the case. It was taken out, we know, multiple times and shown to people in the hot Italian weather. Um, and the difference between, climate every year, it fluctuates. Um, it's not, and of course we have the fires. It's not a good science anyway. I'm going to just get back to StreamYard. How are we doing? 16:13. Um, yeah, guys. So I'm just gonna finish there, I think. But remember, for me, this really got me. The fact that the hair just seems to be free flowing down the body. There's blood. There are blood issues as well. Lack of coagulation on the shroud. And the blood, by the way, would have been put directly on the shroud. So the painting, and according to this guy, was done onto glass and didn't touch the shroud itself. That leaves, an important point as well. It ensures that the only the outer surface, of course, with the sun bleaching the cloth, only the outer surface is really affected, which again is exactly what we see on the cloth. So this guy's thesis really holds true across some of the anomalies we find on the shroud. Anyway, I don't want this to be a long video, so I thought I'd just put that out there today. And I think with what I've given you there, it's ample research material just to show the shroud is still fake. I like this girl. I don't. I've seen a few of her videos. I don't necessarily go with lots of her thinking or politics and stuff, but I like her videos here. She's a smart girl, science-based thinking. I like that. So anyway, peace out. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. I hope this was recorded well and chill. Cheers, guys. Anyway, see you later. Maybe I'll do another video later on. Who knows? All right, cool.